Jerami Grant has had an impressive season so far. He went from a quality role player on the Nuggets to the focal point on the Detroit Pistons. The vast majority of NBA fans thought he'd take a leap this season, but no one expected him to take a leap to the extent that he's showing so far this year. Today, we're going to be talking about Jerami Grant's improvement and if it's enough to win the 2021 Most Improved Player Award. But not only that, but we also talk about his future and the player I think he can become. In 2014, Jerami Grant was drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers in the second round. After playing there for a few years, the Sixers decided Grant wasn't going to be a part of their future, and he went to the OKC Thunder. He continued the trend of putting up less than 10 points in 20 minutes of playing time, but in his third year in OKC, Billy Donovan decided to put him in the starting lineup, and his minutes per game jumped from 20 to 33. He was a solid piece on the team, providing good defense and the ability to stretch the floor, but after that year, the Thunder decided to trade Jerami Grant to the Nuggets for a first-round pick. On the Nuggets, Jerami Grant got his minutes cut and had a much lesser role on the team. On offense, there was a lot of firepower, and Grant often found himself standing in the corner and spotting up. He would have some scoring nights here and there, but most of his impact came on the other end of the floor. He was a solid piece in the rotation and was a key piece in the Nuggets' impressive playoff run, coming back from 2 3-1 deficits. He had the task of guarding players like Paul George in the second round and LeBron James in the conference finals. When the season came to a close, Jerami Grant was offered a 3-year, $60 million contract, but he turned it down. The Detroit Pistons offered him the exact same contract, except he took it. And that's what a lot of people don't know. A lot of people say that he went to a losing team just for the money, but that's just false. The Nuggets offered him the exact same contract and a bright future on a contending team for many years down the line, but Grant simply turned down the offer because he wanted to have a bigger role and Detroit would get the job done. The Pistons got rid of Christian Wood, who seemed to have a higher ceiling at the time while playing a similar role, and just recently they got rid of Derrick Rose. He got to Detroit and instantly broke out. His first game was disappointing, as he did only score 9 points, but after that game, he went on and scored at least 21 points for the next 14 games. His hot start allowed for him to break the franchise record for the most points scored through the first 10 games. His production has continued as he's averaging 23 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists a game at the time of this video. A lot of players that step into a much bigger role on a team take a hit efficiency-wise. It's completely normal because they often get the toughest defenders thrown at them, and the other team's defense is focused on them. Surprisingly, this isn't the case at all for Jerami Grant. He's been shooting the ball at pretty much the same rate as he was last year, and it's honestly incredible what he's doing this year. He almost doubled his field goal attempts, 3-point attempts, and therefore his scoring average doubled too. His free throw attempts more than doubled this season. He averaged 2.8 free throws last season, but now he's averaging 6. At the recording of this video, that ranks him 18th in the league in free throw attempts. That's crazy. It puts him above players like Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic, and Devin Booker. And how he scores also has changed for the better, because when he had a much lesser role on his previous teams, he hasn't really been able to create much of a shot for himself. He was a 3-point shooter and a cutter. That's about it on offense. Don't get me wrong, he was good at what he was doing, but his offensive game was limited. Now that he has room to breathe, he has been able to create for himself. I've seen him drive, pull up, and even make some mid-range step-backs. His game has been so much more diverse, and now he has a much better overall offensive game. Another thing is his passing ability. He is only averaging 3 assists a game this year, but his playmaking ability isn't represented by just 3 assists. He more than doubled the number of assists from last year, and I'm not saying he's a guy that can just run your offense, but Jerami Grant is headed in the right direction. He also won't be a guy to wow you with his passing ability, but he's capable of making the right decision. Even though he is Detroit's first option on the offensive end, he continues to play elite defense. Just look at the Pistons roster. Show me a player that can do at least an okay job defending the other team's best player, besides Jerami. They are a terrible defensive team without Jerami, but he keeps the team from being terrible. Even though he is the first option on the team, he still continues to take the challenge of guarding the other team's best player. The Pistons are 19th in the league in opponents' points per game and 21st in defensive rating. Even though they are a bit worse than the average team, they would be at the very bottom of the league without Jerami Grant. Jerami Grant, for most of his career, has been labeled as a defensive role player that can shoot the ball and be a good cutter. But now, he's the first option on a team. The team definitely isn't the greatest, but the record doesn't tell the whole truth either. I am a huge fan of giving young players the opportunity to put their skills on display. Jerami Grant is one of the best examples of that. He's arguably this year's most improved player, but what competition does he have? There are some players like Lou Dort, Chris Boucher, and Shake Milton that have taken leaps this season, but they aren't true candidates for the award. I have 5 names other than Jerami Grant, and I think they took all the biggest leaps this season. Malcolm Brogdon, Jaylen Brown, Colin Sexton, Julius Randle, and Christian Wood. With Malcolm Brogdon, he has taken a huge leap, but I don't think it's as significant as Jerami's. His play style has stayed the same, it's just a level up from before. And he isn't the go-to guy on the Pacers, and he has a very similar role as last year. So I think Grant is more deserving than Malcolm Brogdon. And Jaylen Brown has taken a huge leap as well. As Jason Tatum was out for a bit, he took the lead and has been an amazing player. As a player, I think Jaylen Brown is better, no doubt, but in terms of improvement, I still think Jerami Grant has the edge. Another candidate is Colin Sexton. He has had a very hot start to the season, and he's slowly cooling down. He was playing amazing, and I didn't expect him to sustain that level of play throughout the season. I think his improvement is a little overrated because his main role is to score, right? And his points per game has only increased by 2 since last season. As an overall player and leader, Sexton still had improvement, but none to the caliber of Jerami's. The other candidate is Julius Randle. He is another player that I think his improvement is overrated. He scored nearly 20 points a game last year, and this year he's averaging 23. He has still had improvements in other departments, and it is more than just scoring averages, but the leap, in my opinion, isn't even close to Jerami Grant's, and I left the toughest competition for last. And that's Christian Wood. Both Christian Wood and Jerami Grant took huge leaps this season, and I 100% understand if you choose one over the other. I think it's kind of funny how Jerami Grant filled in Christian Wood's role in the Pistons. But Christian Wood is a small ball center that can stretch the floor and hold his own on defense. Who knew he was an undrafted player? Because I didn't know until I was making this video. But before the season was over for the Pistons last year, he was playing amazing and showed signs of what he would become. He has lived up to what he was showing, putting up averages of 22 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1.5 blocks a game on 56, 42, 69 shooting splits. He was a bench warmer his whole career, but on the Pistons, he slowly became a part of the rotation and improved rapidly. He knew a team wanted him last offseason, and he signed a contract in Houston, and has been playing incredible. Right now, I think he's Houston's best player and will probably become an All-Star snub this year. Jerami Grant will most likely be in the All-Star conversation as well, but will just miss the cut. Christian Wood's game was elevated to another level this season, but Jerami Grant also added so many things to his game, and he's a way more complete player due to his improvement. I personally would have Jerami Grant winning the Most Improved Player award, with Christian Wood being the close runner-up. This decision was really close, and again, I can see why someone would take Wood over Grant. Jerami Grant, in my opinion, has taken the biggest leap so far this season, and has an incredibly bright future. He's most likely not going to make the All-Star team this year, but he's definitely in the discussion, and I can see him making the All-Star team within the next few years. I like Jerami Grant, and he's a really exciting player to watch. He loves taking the challenge of guarding the other team's best players, and his effort on the court is amazing. He has a deeper bag this year, so he has more moves to go to, and if that doesn't work, he has a counter to that, or he's capable of making the right pass. I can't wait to see what he brings in the future, because it's surely going to be amazing to watch. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Subscribe for future basketball content, and thank you for watching.